Hi there. Today I'd like to present to you another Jaeger-LeCoultre watch. This one is an AMVOX2 Chronograph limited edition. This particular watch is in steel, and it's one of, I think there were 499 of these made. The watch itself is a 44mm diameter case, and it's a very complicated case indeed, but we'll get to that shortly. That's it in profile, and there's the back of it there. You can see the Aston Martin logo engraved there in the centre. Now, the AMVOX models from Jaeger-LeCoultre started coming out in around 2005, and the name derives from a portmanteau of AM for Aston Martin and Vox, referring back to the Jaeger-LeCoultre MemoVox watches, which were their alarm watches. And so that's where the name AMVOX comes from. This partnership between Aston Martin and Jaeger-LeCoultre is not, just a complete bit of marketing crap. The two companies did work together back in the 1930s, and there were a number of Aston Martin cars produced back then which used dashboard instruments produced by Jaeger-LeCoultre. So this is sort of commemorating that previous arrangement and collaboration that existed. The first AMVOX was an alarm watch, but since then most of them have been chronographs, and more recently there have been these transponder watches which have been able to activate the car's alarm and central locking systems with. This one is not such a watch. As you can see, the face has some Aston Martin cues in the shape of the hour and minute hands, and the Arabic numerals, which the whole thing is somewhat reminiscent of the speedometer or the rev counter on the dashboard of a current day Aston Martin. There's a lot of detail in the dial, which I really find very interesting to look at. There's a lot of waffling and waffle iron effect. I'm doing the waffling here. And there's also some partial skeletonization as well, so you can see a little bit of the movement there in the middle, and down the bottom at 6 o'clock you can see part of the chronograph button functions. So the watch, the movement is I think has around about 65 hours power reserve. It's automatic. I think that has about 280 parts. But the case, which is the party piece of this watch, is also very complicated. Now that has around about 120 parts, lots of little screws and so forth. It is a chronograph, but as you can see, it doesn't have any chronograph buttons. So how do you operate it? Well, the way you operate it is you operate the chronograph by pushing on the crystal of the case. So the way the case is constructed is there's essentially two main parts. There's the watch case itself containing the movement, and then there is a cradle which stretches from one set of lugs to the other, in which the main part of the case sits and pivots. So there's a pivot axis that runs across from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock across the case. On this side here of the watch, this is a locking mechanism. So currently it's in the unlocked position, but you can lock the case so that it won't pivot. So you can stop inadvertent use of the chronograph function. We'll put it back into the neutral position so we can use it. And we might just sort of, we'll start off here. What we'll do is we'll start the chronograph by pushing, and come back to the side. I'll show you what it looks like when we stop the function. So it's stopped it there. Oh no, I haven't stopped it there, I've started it again. Let's stop it. Yep. And then we can reset it by pushing down at the 6 o'clock region. You see the way the whole case sort of pivots in there. The actual mechanisms whereby that occurs can be seen down there, and we might be able to just see them move. Not very well, it's a bit difficult. Right. So it doesn't have hands on the chronograph accumulators. They're just rotating discs, and there isn't a sub-second dial. All there is a little rotating disc down here at just above 6 o'clock, which has an Aston Martin logo on it. Now, look, I'm not particularly keen on these sorts of collaboration watches where you've got huge amounts of labelling from the other contributor, but this watch thankfully hides most of the Aston Martin stuff, and it's really quite discreet. You know, there's just a small little Aston Martin logo there, and you've got it there again on the back. So there you have it. That's the Aston Martin AMVOX2 chronograph with the vertical trigger chronograph button function. I hope you've found this. Actually no, I won't finish just yet. We'll stick it on the wrist, just because that's what you always seem to do in a watch video. Bend myself around. So you can see it's a biggish watch. It sits quite proud on the wrist there, but you know, it's quite a striking piece, and you know, it's certainly something a little bit different from your average Daytona or Speedmaster Man on the Moon. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.